Welcome to the Explainer. So, we've all seen AI that can, write a poem or answer some trivia questions. But what does it actually take for an AI to go from just talking to actually doing something? Today, we're going to trace that exact journey, the evolution of AI from just words to real-world actions. All right, let's start with a concept you've definitely used, probably 100 times today: autocomplete. At its very heart, a large language model, or an LLM, is basically a prediction engine. It's been trained to do just one thing, but to do it incredibly well. Guess what word, or even just a piece of a word, what we call a token, is most likely to come next in any given sentence.
It's a really common misconception that these models know things the way you and I do, but in reality, they're performing just a massive mathematical calculation. They're predicting the most probable next token based on trillions of examples from all the data they were trained on. This is the brilliant, super complex engine that's powering tools like ChatGPT.
And this is a big but, this incredible prediction power comes with a fundamental limit. The AI is essentially trapped by its training data. There's this wall between what it knows and the real world, which, as we know, is changing constantly.
See, an LLM's knowledge is basically frozen in time. It's based entirely on the public data it was trained on up to a certain date. So it knows absolutely nothing about your company's private data, it hasn't seen your personal files, and it has no clue what happened in the world 5 minutes ago. Its knowledge is static, whereas ours is dynamic. It's constantly updating.
Now, we can try to give it some new information, right? But we're really limited by what's called its context window. The best way to think about this is like a very small notepad for its short-term memory. I mean, even the biggest, most powerful models can only hold the equivalent of a few large books at a time, which is just a tiny fraction of, say, a whole company's worth of knowledge. So that leads to the big question, right? How in the world do we give the AI access to live, real-world information without having to do the impossible task of retraining it from scratch every single day? Well, the answer is this really clever technique that basically acts as a bridge that allows the AI to access current and even private information in real time. And honestly, it's a complete game changer for how we interact with these models. It's called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. The easiest way to think about it is like giving an LLM its own personal real-time search engine that can look through specific private documents that you give it access to. The way RAG works is pretty cool. It converts all these documents into numerical codes, we call them embeddings, that actually represent their meaning. This lets the AI search for concepts, not just simple keywords. So for example, if you search for vacation policy, it understands you're looking for the idea of taking time off, and it's smart enough to find documents that mention staff time off, even if the word vacation is nowhere in there. The process itself is surprisingly simple but incredibly powerful. You ask a question, the system then instantly searches your private documents for anything relevant. It then augments or adds that new information to your original question, and then the LLM generates an answer based on all of it. This lets it give you answers that are grounded in specific, current, even private data, all without ever needing to be retrained. Okay, so that's all about finding and summarizing information. But what if we want the AI to do more than that? What if we want it to actually take action for us out in the world? And this is the huge leap, going from a simple LLM to what we now call an AI agent. See, an agent isn't just a static brain anymore. It's an autonomous worker. It has a memory and a whole toolkit. It doesn't just answer your questions, it actually executes tasks and makes its own decisions about how to get a job done. The agent basically acts as a central gateway. It takes your request, say, from a chat app, and then intelligently decides which tool in its toolkit to use, whether that's accessing a database, browsing the web, or connecting to another app's API to actually complete the task for you. And I want to be clear, this isn't some far-off science fiction idea. This is a very active and rapidly growing field of engineering, and it's all powered by these sophisticated new frameworks that give these agents their toolkits. So developers are using frameworks like LangChain and LangGraph to build these agents. Think of it like a set of Lego bricks, but for AI. They can chain different actions together to create these really complex workflows. For instance, an agent could be asked to plan a weekend trip to Paris, and it would first browse for flights, then find a hotel near the city center, and finally book both of them, all without you having to intervene again. So, where is all this heading? What's the end goal? Well, It's to create a truly personal AI assistant, one that not only knows all the public information, but is also deeply, deeply integrated with your personal tools and your personal data, running on any device and ready to act on your behalf. So we've come a really long way from just asking an AI to, write a sentence. We've given it a bridge to our world, and now we've given it a toolkit to act within it. So the question really isn't just what can it say anymore. The real question, the one we all have to think about, is what will we empower it to do?